What's going on, everybody? It's the Keymaster 84 coming at you guys today with another video. We are talking about Google Stadia, the Google Stadia streaming service that Google announced yesterday at a press conference at the GDC 2019, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you want to get really into it, but yes, anyways, guys. Before we move on, this is a Daily Dose supplemental edition, but what you need to do right now, go hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and you know what, hit the thumbs up while you're at it. You're already clicking buttons anyways. Then you can sit back, relax, and learn everything you need to know about Stadia from me, the Keymaster 84. Alright, so it started off with Sundar Pichai. He came out and he, talked about how gaming affects everything inside Google, AI, cars, YouTube, search, literally everything. It's fairly standard CEO stuff. He talked about how it was the worst kept secret because they were streaming through Chrome. They went on to talk about how gaming affects over 2 billion people, especially through Chrome and Google Play. How between Web, Google Play, and YouTube, they made their partners made $110 billion. Then we got into the juicy stuff. That's when the juicy stuff began. They ran the announcement reel. Phil Harrison came out. He talked a little bit about Project Stream, and then from that, after talking to players and talking to developers, they came up with 3 core elements, which is creative, scale, and game. Unleash the creative, bigger scale, and connecting to the game. So right now, they wanted to come out and really, because they had to come out strong. They really had to come out strong, and they had to put their best foot forward, because otherwise, if they didn't do any of that, nobody is even going to give their console the time of day, no matter how good it is. It could have been the bee's knees, the next big deal, best thing since sliced bread, but it wouldn't have mattered if the messaging hadn't been right. And that is one thing they definitely did extremely well about reiterating what they can do compared to the competition. So he said, this was probably one of the bigger things to me personally. He said, when this launches in YouTube, we'll say, since we're playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is not ironic, we'll get to that in a minute. But Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I heard that was the new Assassin's Creed game's coming out. The new Assassin's Creed is really awesome. You go and you check out the game trailer and it's available to play. Well, there'll be a little icon on there that says play now. You click play now, and he said an average of about 5 seconds you will be in the game playing the game, which means no downloads, no patches, no updates, no install, instant access. Now granted, that is where that conversation ended. We don't know if you have to buy the game, if it's like $60, or there's a subscription service that's $25 a month, or what you have to do in order to be able to do that, because they're not just going to give you the game for free. As nice as that would be, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind getting a game for free every now and again, but that's not what's going to happen. This is kind of where some people now are like, well, what's going on? And it is true. We got something that I think about is that, there was that portion of it was very tech level, very high end, very, this is what's going on. You'll get more, nitty gritty details later on. But that's what I thought was really cool. I can't believe that's even a possibility. It was really good. Let me flip. I got like 4 pages of notes here, guys. That's right. I actually took notes on paper. Let's see here. Oh yeah, then Stadia can work across any screen that you have in your home. It's going to be available for desktop, laptop, TV, tablets, and phones. There'll be no box. There's going to be no console. Nothing. It's going to be directly streamed. Everything. The data center is the true platform. They real-time this. Now, granted, I don't know. Nobody will ever know besides the people who made the press conference, but we don't know if that demo they showed was actually in real time, or if it was pre-recorded, or what was going on, because there were there were some things about it that weren't 100%. Like I was pressing A rapidly at one point, like three or four times, and the character was not moving. And it was all done in Assassin's Creed, and the character was not moving and not moving an inch, just doing whatever it wanted to do. And that was something obviously probably not what he was intending on having happen. Then we get into, so he went from the laptop to the phone, to the desktop, to the tablet, to the TV, and it all seemed fairly seamless. You're going to be able to connect because the real technology behind this, guys, and this is something that I kind of picked up on from what I know about the industry, from what I know about technology. So that the remote control that they were using was the Google remote control. I forget exactly what it's called off the top of my head right now. But the Stadia controller, which comes in white, black, or mint, I do believe. I didn't get into detail on that, but it looked like a mint kind of color to it. It's actually connecting Wi-Fi and then saying, hey, data center, where am I in this world? I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Where am I? Oh, you're talking to Elpenor at the Temple of Zeus right now, going through a cutscene. Okay, great. Display it on whatever I'm looking at, desktop, laptop, TV, and then boom, it works. Now, how that works with like an existing USB controller and or keyboard and mouse, we don't know, because that is something that it is capable of doing. We just don't know to what extent, and we don't know like what are the pluses and minuses of using a controller versus using the Google controller versus an already existing USB controller, keyboard, or mouse. Still amazing though. The TV does require though to have the Chromecast, the newest Chromecast stream or Chromecast 4K streamer. I don't know. I forgot off the top of my head. Which is a $70 peripheral. So I mean that's what you want. That's what you gotta pay. There's going to be 2 new buttons, so there's going to be, it looks similar to how the PlayStation controller looks, where you got the 2 analog sticks at the same level instead of the Xbox where it's on opposite corners. I really hope that's not the final design on the controller. They need to make some changes on that. It doesn't look very comfortable to play for a few hours, in my opinion. We definitely have to see it and like get it in my hands in order to find out exactly how it feels. But from the looks of it, I don't know. Moving on. So they're going to have 2 new buttons, but there are 2 buttons on there. One is to share to YouTube, and one is Google Assistant, the mic, and they actually have a built-in mic into the controller. We'll get into the coolness of that here in a little bit. At launch, they want to do 4K, 60 frames per second, HDR with surround sound. We don't know what bitrate you need. Is it 15 megs? Is it 10 megs? Is it 20 megs? 25? Like what do I need? What does my internet need to be in order to do 4K 60 frames a second HDR and surround sound? That's a pretty bold statement. Is it 4G, 5G for your phone? Like what are we talking here performance wise? We didn't really get into that. It was very high level in that situation. Then in the future they're talking about being able to do 8K and 120 frames a second. Actually 120 plus frames per second. And then also while you're streaming to your whatever device you choose, there'll also be a secondary stream going that will be able to go straight to YouTube in 4K. It's pretty impressive. I really want to see that in action. I want to see how that looks and feels. Because that is a huge deal. I mean, if I could stream a game through YouTube, and you guys could watch it, it's in 4K, and I'm playing in 4K, and you guys can watch in 4K, that'd be pretty amazing, in my opinion. We'll have to wait and see, though, get a little bit more detail about it. They did work with AMD to design their chipset, of course, because for some reason Intel doesn't care about this portion of the industry. I don't know what's going on. It doesn't make sense to me. Because now AMD has monopoly. Intel, like, just make something. I'm sure someone will pick you up because they want to be different than everybody else. But anyways, different video for a different time. Then they went on to say that, hey guys, Stadia is so awesome. We do 10.7 teraflops. PlayStation 4 does 4.2, and the Xbox only does 6.0. So combined, we still do more. Now, granted, yes, that is current console. You guys are coming out in 2019. Okay, but what about the PS5 and the Xbox 2.0? Are you gonna be better than that then? You know, I mean, I'm just, criticisms along with, telling you guys what's going on, plus some constructive stuff. I think it's still amazing though that you're getting 10.7 in a streaming application. I think that's amazing that you're getting 10.7 teraflops out of it. Unreal, Unity, and Havoc are all going to be working with it. We're going to have a Stadia development space for developers. Marty Stranton came out from id Software, showed off Doom Eternal. He says at launch it's going to be true 4K 60 frames per second with HDR. Coming out in Stadia, they actually were developing in the same language that Studio was developed in, so it was a really easy cross. He said it took about 2 weeks for them to get everything done, ready to and get the game more running how it was before they decided to go over Stadia. So that's pretty impressive. They're gonna, and then Phil came back on. They're gonna have full cross-platform play, and the developers can choose if they want to be able to do, if they want to let the players be able to do saves and progressions. I don't know why anybody would ever say no. That's an amazing feature. I think if you said you can do all that, people would freak out. Especially, I mean, just cross-platform play by itself is amazing. And then if you could say you can also do cross-platform saves, whew, that'd be some good stuff. Then Aaron Hoffman-John, lead R&D for the studio, came out, and they were working with Tangent Games to make a demo with Full Destruction. I would say almost similar to how a Crackdown 3 looked. I would say the graphic fidelity was not as good as Crackdown 3. I mean, hard to say because I was watching it on my computer, and you can't really ever tell how good it really is through your computer. But I mean, it still looked good. I don't know. Yeah, again, we don't know if it was pre-recorded or not, but I still think it was a good piece of tech to show off. That was a straight tech demo, though, so I don't know if I really want to count that as a game. So far, we've only talked about one game. Yves Guillemot was on next. They shouted out to him, said, "Hey, thanks for letting us use Assassin's Creed Odyssey." Blah blah blah. So now we have 2 games. Then they came on to say that couch multi-screen has been getting kind of pushed to the side of gaming because of how many instances you need in order to make it work, and how that's not fair. Then they showed one screen turned to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I do believe is what they ended on. So you'd actually have 6 instances of the same game going on at the same time. Is really impressive. That'd be in squad-based games, you can be able to show 6 different point of views within one game. That's really awesome. Then I forget this person's name, but Tequila Work Studios came out, started talking about how you can do style transfer machine learning, which is used to create quick art styles. So they showed how they could literally pick paintings, and that would actually put the art style from the painting on the textures within the game within the blink of an eye. It was really amazing, really cool piece of tech, a really good area to help developers make the games faster and get into the more what do I want my game to be about, why is my game so much more awesome than anybody else's, to get to that point. So really cool. Talked about state share, where they would be able to let players be able to instantly show and share the exact spot in a game where they got to, like speed runs or scary points in the game, or whatever it may be situation. They could be like, hey, look at this certain spot, look at this, I did this, something else happened, da da da. After that, the head of gaming, Ryan Wyatt, came out, talked about YouTube and how 200 million gamers watch games daily, 500 plus billion hours of gaming content was watched in 2018. He talked about what, in my opinion, will be the big differentiator between Google, PlayStation, and Microsoft. 2 things. One we already talked about was the being able to just watch a trailer, say, I want to play that now. click, boom, you're in. Then basically that's how fast we're talking. It's really impressive. I see that being one of the things that, like, no offense, like Microsoft, not even Microsoft, well, sorry, let me just take a step back. We don't know if Microsoft's xCloud can do that, or if they'd be able to make a way for you to do that. They won't have the breadth that YouTube has, but we'll see. But then he talked about what, in my opinion, for streamers, and I can definitely see a lot of people migrating over to YouTube because of this one simple addition or setting, whatever you want to call it, which is called crowd play, where you're watching a streamer and the streamer's like, hey, I'm playing NBA 2K, as much as what they showed off. Hey, we're playing NBA 2K. Let's have some guys join me from the audience, and then literally he can set up this whole queue, and people can wait in a queue, wait to play with the streamer. I'll be like, hey guys, we're playing 5v5s. Boom. Once we're done, we'll swap out 4 guys for 4 people, and then you can literally get the queue going. You can do that now. It's really convoluted. It's hard. It's difficult to manage. Yeah, this will speed that process up and make it so much more efficient. So amazing to watch a streamer who's actually using that. I think it would be absolutely amazing. Ryan then brought out MatPat, who talked about all this and how it's going to benefit everybody. It's going to benefit the people who watch the streamers and the people who take in content. It's amazing. Woohoo. They then went on to show that with Google Assistant being on the controller, you're going to be able to say, hey Google, like right here, we could be like, hey Google, help me out right here, and it would take us to a video online on YouTube and fast forward right to the part in a walkthrough that shows us how to take care of this problem. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I definitely see that affecting the content creator space, because now content creators are going to want to try to figure out how to be that very first video that Google recommends or just takes you to. That's going to be absolutely amazing for content creation, and it's going to really up the ante of people doing walkthroughs again. I think that's really fun. I'm really excited about that personally. But yeah, so that's great. They did announce Jade Raymond came out. She is the head of Stadia Games and Entertainment, which is the new first-party studio for Google Stadia. Whew, that's a lot of studios. But yeah, so Jade Raymond is the head of that gaming studio. It's in charge of doing first-party content as well as helping third-party developers get into Stadia and get their software ported over. I think that's really awesome that it's kind of 2 things in one. But obviously, it made sense with her being hired and her background, as we talked about earlier this week, late last week. It just makes sense. Then we talked about, what developers, what partners they had. You can go to Stadia.com. You can go to Google Stadia on Twitter, Google Stadia on Instagram. It's launching 2019 in the United States, Canada, UK, and Europe. Well, most of Europe is what they said. So that's pretty much the overview, along with a few little quips put in there. A few things that I think are awesome about it is I really do think that if they nail everything that they intend on nailing, it's going to be amazing. Just the fact that literally you can click on play now, get into the game. The barrier of entry is nothing. Like you're watching on your phone. You have the new S9. You're like, oh yeah, my buddy told me about this. Or you're at work and your buddy's like, dude, did you see the trailer for this? This game's been out for like a week. You should really check it out. And you go to it and you're like, dude, that does look sweet. Play now. And you literally load it in on your phone. That's it. There's nothing. There's no barrier to entry there. I think it's absolutely amazing. And then the fact that they're going to be adding in all these features for content creation, I think is great. To be able to use the YouTube platform, you already have all these people going there every single day. It's a really easy thing just to kind of push them in that direction. I think it's great. I think, I just think it's a great idea, concept. Now some criticisms I do have is how much is this going to cost? it like I said earlier? Is this a subscription base? Is it, do you have to buy the game? How does it carry over? What kind of, I need to know all this to make my decision. What games are coming out? Because right now I know Doom Eternal, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and NBA 2K. As far as AAA titles go. I don't know what indie titles. There are a couple indie titles that they're talking about, but still those are indie titles. They're not AAA games, and I need to know like what's going on. My other thing about it is they announced the studio. How long has that studio been working on a game? Is that first-party game going to be available at launch, or is this like 2-3 years down the road, which typically is the release cycle for a AAA game? So now we're talking like 2022. Now, granted, I do think this is something that this is a long-term thing. Google was very specific about building a culture and saying, hey, this is now what we do. We make games. We are a content creation platform, and they made very sure to point that out all over the place in the conference, which is good. But I do think because of that one of the things that will be happening is it is going to take a little bit longer, and it's not going to be as just overnight as people are thinking it's going to be. I think it will take some time, and I think it will eventually work itself out. But I think that's going to take, like I said, some time to get going. So we're probably looking at 2022, 2023 before this thing really starts to pick up a ton of steam, unless they get a ton of third-party support. Unfortunately, I think that's just how long it's going to take. But yeah, guys, so let me know what you guys thought of Stadia, what you guys think. We can have discussion down below. If there's something more you want me to talk about, or you want me to make another video about something, anything. If there's anything I left out that you think is super important, make sure you guys leave it down in the comments below. And until next time, guys, this has been the Keymaster 84. We play games to make gains. Haters gonna hate. I'll see you guys next episode. Peace.